What's going on, friends? Sam Prentice back once again, and over the past couple of weeks I've managed to get up close and personal with this, the brand new Bambu Lab H2C. And I'll be honest, I've been trying to figure out what exactly this machine is, because yes, it's a multicolour, multi-material, hot end swapping printer, but it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be.
At one point, I genuinely had to step away, go outside, touch some grass, rest my brain, because I couldn't quite work out who this machine was actually for. It was still purging filament between changes. People online were calling it a tool changer, Bambu were calling it zero-purge, and none of it really lined up. But then, after a while, I came back. A firmware update landed, and Bambu quietly updated their media kit from zero-purge to purge-saving, and that's when it finally clicked. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you through everything, the full specs, some of the things that I've been printing and working on, what actually changed with this firmware and media update, how it stacks up against a 4-year-old Prusa XL, and the new kid on the block, the Snapmaker U1. And most importantly, what the H2C actually is, and who it's really for. Because friends, this isn't a tool changer. This is something completely different. Let's get straight on into this one.
You are watching a master at work.
So what exactly is the H2C and where does it sit on the current Bambu Lab lineup? Well, first of all, we have the H2S. The H2S, of course, is very much the base model. It's a single nozzle, and if you're looking to print multicolor materials via the AMS system, it behaves very similarly to the way that the X1 Carbon did. So you'll be purging between colors. Next, of course, we have the H2D, which is 2 independent nozzles, which are mounted to one single tool head. With H2D, if you stay within those 2 materials, the printer will just switch nozzles. And if you stay just using those 2 nozzles and 2 materials, the printer will just switch between nozzles and there's no AMS color flushing. But if you do add an AMS system for additional colors beyond those 2, you'll then reintroduce purging and the AMS will then go into feed swaps. Then we have the H2C, which of course is the star of the video, which uses Vortek to swap entire hot ends. So each hot end in this case is a bit like a cartridge. It stays loaded with its own filament. The printer then parks one hot end, picks another, heats inside of 8 seconds via induction, primes, and then carries on. That process, by the way, does take a little bit longer than just 8 seconds, but what it does do is reduce purge waste dramatically versus an AMS system. Though we still keep the purge or wipe tower to release the nozzle pressure and stabilize flow before printing onto the model. Whether you're a hobbyist, a student, or a pro engineer, PCBWay.com has you covered. From simple 2-layer boards to complex multi-layer designs, they offer high-quality PCBs with fast turnaround and competitive pricing. Plus, their assembly service and 3D printing options make them the one-stop shop for makers, so visit PCBWay.com and turn your ideas into reality. Thank you once again to PCBWay for sponsoring this channel. So when it comes to prime towers, it always seems to be quite a contentious argument, certainly on this YouTube channel. Do you really need one? Should you be using it at all? Actually, it doesn't do what you think it's going to do. Well, there's a couple of things around that. I would definitely say this one is quite messy, and just to show you on the C, we printed this model, and we'll come on to talking a little bit more about the specs of that later. Now, this was one from the Prusa XL. Again, it does feel a little bit lighter than this one. So my argument, I guess, would be, are we replacing the poop now with this tower? And what are the best ways around reducing overall waste still? Because regardless of what system you're using, be it a tool changer or the Vortek system, you are still going to be producing small amounts of waste. Let me know what you think about that in the comments, of course, but let's move on to the specs. We'll circle back around to this. So moving forward with the specs, the bed size here is 330 by 320 by 325 millimeters. It's a Core XY motion system with 1000 millimeters per second maximum speed and 20k in acceleration. The nozzle does heat up to a maximum of 350 degrees. The bed 120, and it's got an active heated chamber of 65 degrees. It does come with a flexible PEI build plate, and materials you can use inside of this printer, of course, is PLA, PETG, TPU, ABS, ASA, PC, PA, CF and GF reinforced, PVC, PVOC, and PPS. And I'm sure much more. So hot end types, and this is actually pretty important because the H2C actually uses 2 different types of hot end. One is the main tool head, which is on the left hand side. Now this is the same design that you'll find on the H2S and also the H2D. It's a magnet style, it clicks in, very, very easy to use. But on the Vortek side, which I'm calling the cartridge system, these are swappable hot ends that are stored in the Vortek rack. They're not the same as the stock tool head hot end. In fact, they're sort of a smart hot end because they have an internal memory that stores filament type, temperature and flow tuning, inductive heating interface instead of a fixed heater block. The electrical contactless connection with no pogo pins again is available in 0.2, 0.4, 0.6 and 0.8mm nozzles, along with hardened induction tips. So on the H2C, technically you have here one regular H2 nozzle on the left hand side, which is fixed to your tool head, plus up to 6 Vortek cartridge style hot ends in the dock, which are completely different in design and of course function. So technically here we have a total of 7 nozzles, but only 6 of them of course are swappable. What you can do though, of course, is you can put a 0.2 and a 0.4 into that racking system, but you can't blend those 2 nozzles together. So you can't print with a 0.6 on the outside and a 0.2 on the inside. It has to be specifically a 0.4 or a 0.2 as a total rack, but you can mix and match and pick those particular ones per model. And hopefully that makes sense. Now, why would you want a 0.2 or a 0.4 or a 0.6 on side of that racking system? Well, ease of use. That's one of the big benefits to this. If it's already preloaded, you can just select it and print that model. But again, at the moment, it is just down to a specific model. So while we're on the topic of models, and well, to make this fair, I wanted to test a real print, not just a benchmark cube, but something with multiple colors, tool changes, and detail. So I've chosen the Scandic Prism Vase, which is a 4-color model, which can be found over on printables.com. Now on the H2C, I've set it up to use 3 colors from the Vortek rack on the right-hand side, and 1 color, which is black, on the left-hand side. So I think we're using a fair balance here, and we'll certainly come on to the numbers in just a few moments. But let's hit the slice button and see what the numbers look like. Okay, so we're coming in here at 30 hours and 6 minutes total print time, with a number of tool changes of 2,200 on the swaps. And the filament is coming in around about 267 grams. So I know what you're thinking, what about if we hit the purge mode and we go into purge-saving, which is just inside of the slicer, and we'll see how that works out. Let's hit the slice button again. Okay, so now we're at 225 grams and 1 day, 4 hours and 31. That's a total difference of 1 hour and 35 minutes if my calculations are correct. So let's do the same here on Prusa Slicer. The only thing that might be a little bit different is going to be the purge block, and that's coming in at 15 hours and 37 minutes dead, with another 2,220 changes and just shy of 220 grams. So the tool changes in this case are faster by about 14 hours and 27 minutes, but this is a specific use case on that particular model. Let's look at a different one. So as you already saw, the bowl print is currently printing on the H2C already. And if you're a subscriber to the channel, you might have already seen our Snapmaker U1 video where we printed this bowl out. So we've already got a good comparison for that already. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But back to the numbers. Pretty much equal across the board. Filament use, again, similar. Filament used, again, similar. But it really is this time difference, 8 hours and 53 minutes between the two. It's quite an interesting one. And again, the reason for that is actually pretty simple. And it's the time it takes to get off of the model, to go to the purge block, to change the nozzle, to unload the AMS and to reload the AMS. On average, on my tests, takes around 40 to 45 seconds to complete that, to be going back onto the model again. And this, friends, is where tool changes really start to make up the time. On the Snapmaker U1 and also the Prusa XL, the average time to stop printing, move off of the model, prime and wipe, to pick up the new tool head and then resume printing was around about 11 seconds per swap. Now that's a mean average across both machines, but it does very much depend on travel distance, but that is a really realistic number. And if you equate that across the 2,200 tool changes we saw earlier, the H2C at 40 seconds loses 24.4 hours to swaps, where again, the tool changes tend to be 6.7 hours overall. So that's just a question of time, and I kind of feel like I've kicked it down the road a little bit here, but that's certainly not the case because the technical aspects of this are far beyond any other printer out there. Let me explain. Bambu's focus on technology really knows no bounds. There was a moment in time where people would say they're living in the future, and honestly, in some ways, they still are. But as we've seen, sometimes older tech can still beat newer ideas. So let's take tool changes out of the equation just for a moment. because whether or not you love it or hate it, there's no denying that the technology inside of the H2C is still one of the most advanced multi-material systems that you can buy right now. And here's why. So firstly, Hotend cartridges that are dedicated to a colour and or material. Each Vortek Hotend works like a cartridge. You can assign it to a specific colour or a specific material. PLA red in one, PLA blue in another, or PLA in one, ABS in another, carbon fibre, nylon in a third. No cross-contamination, no colour bleed, no manual loading and unloading of filament every single time, apart from the AMS automatically refeeding filament into each hotend when needed. And if you're using abrasive filaments, well, they're only wear down their own hotend, not all of them. Secondly, and due to that chip on the very top here, they remember their own settings. But it comes at a cost. Each Vortek hotend stores its own data inside of it: flow calibration, temperature tuning, filament type. So you can undock it today and slot it back in next week, and it prints exactly as it should. No recalibration and no fuss. But there is a downside. These hotends use a proprietary control chip, which means that there's no third-party nozzle, no simple DIY replacement. Unless Bambu opens the system up to trusted partners, you're very much locked into their ecosystem for consumables. Thirdly, induction heating. It's fast and it's contactless. So there's no heater block, there's no thermistor wiring, and each hotend heats magnetically using induction. It reaches temperature in around about 8 seconds, so there's no wires to snap, no pogo pins to oxidize. It's clean, modern engineering. The H2 range as a whole has an active heated chamber and is a Core XY setup. This isn't just another Core XY with some plastic panels on it. Every printer in the Bambu Lab H2 lineup, the H2S single nozzle, H2D dual nozzle, and the H2C Vortek hotend changer comes with an actively heated chamber. The chamber can reach up to 65 degrees, which means materials like ABS, ASA, PC, nylon, and carbon fibre reinforced filaments print properly with far less warping or delamination. The Prusa XL, of course, doesn't ship with an active heated chamber from factory, and the Snapmaker can be enclosed, but it's also not an active heated chamber like this. In addition to that, the Snapmaker also doesn't currently have reinforced nozzles, so you're lucked out on that point. But at this point, this isn't just a feature on the C model, this is part of the entire H2 ecosystem. So if hotend swapping on the H2C isn't for you, then perhaps the H2S still gives you the same heated chamber and core technology. It's all still very much Bambu, and I kind of like that. And by that I mean you still get the Bambu experience. Auto bed leveling, flow calibration, Bambu Studio slicer, Wi-Fi, and a quick handy app control. 4 built-in cameras, and it's still got that familiar workflow. Slice it, send it, walk away. And if Bambu is your jam and you love the ecosystem, the automation, the hands-off let's print experience, then the H2C will probably fit right into your world. And the links of course are in the description. But let's be real, it's not the only tool in the drawer. I've always had a fantastic experience with Bambu Lab printers. They do what I want them to do with very few issues. But there are other printers out there that deliver the same results too, just over difference in timescales with very different approaches, as of course you've seen inside of this review. So we're going to be looking at some of the prints that I've been putting out over the past couple of weeks on this machine. I'm very aware as well that inside of this video there have been some repetitive moments where I've gone over things 2 or 3 times, maybe in slightly different ways. And the reason for that is because of the changes that happened with firmware and also the Bambu Lab media document. So I wanted to make sure that I'm actually giving you the correct information, and by doing that it meant that some of the video was kind of slightly repetitive. So apologies if you found that annoying. But we're going to look at some prints, and right at the end of the video I'm really going to give my kind of critique on what this machine is and really who it's for. So make sure you tune in for that. Again, I'm going to have timestamps along this video as well because it is a bit kind of lumpy, and I appreciate you if you got to this point watching as far as you have done. So let's look at some of the prints.
That was the Prusa. This is the H2C. As I say, we had some weird failures on here. That was the one that I had previously printed, and then we went to go and do it again, and ultimately it got worse. So that's what we ended up with, and it just wasn't looking great. So I killed the print at that point, reprinted it, and again we still didn't get great parts around here, but I think that's down to the slicer and how I sliced the file. So this is printed in Bambu Lab. It's a really old Bambu Lab glow-in-the-dark filament, and the green nose is actually Prism. The white teeth here are Polymaker, as per usual. But it is fluorescing quite nicely, and it is glow-in-the-dark. So this was another batch print. These were all printed at the same time. And that's where the grey one came from. So all four of these were printed at the same time, and that's why you get that quite fairly unique look on the support mechanisms there. They're part of a skull project that I was kind of working on for Halloween. Didn't get it finished in time, so that is ultimately what I printed out, which is a bit of a shame.
Okay, so news just in from Bambu, and we're a couple of days before Formnext. We've got the pricing in now for the printers and also the Hotend. So the H2C AMS combo, which is the one I have here, is coming in at $2,399. The H2C with the full laser combo with the 10 watt is $2,999. The H2C laser with the full combo with the 40 watt is $3,599. The Vortek upgrade kit, which is going to be available in Q1 of 2026, is to be determined, and the European pricing is still under evaluation as well. I've also been sent the induction hot end, which is $59 each, and the high flow induction hot end is $89. So a fair whack of money there, depending on how you see that. But again, at the end of the day, it's a tool. So again, let me know what you think about the numbers down in the comments below, and will you be buying one?
So we move on to the print results. The printing experience on the H2C has been exactly what you'd expect from Bambu. Clean, reliable and consistent. Layer adhesion, overhangs and surface finish are really solid. It even handled the 75-degree overhangs surprisingly well, and that's a pretty extreme test for any printer. That being said, across the H2 range I've noticed a slight drop in quality on steep overhangs, but that's not unusual for machines that don't have full 360 part cooling, and that's just something to keep in mind if you're pushing the limits of supportless geometry. I've printed a range of models across PLA, ASA and carbon-filled materials, and the quality has stayed right on point. There was only one model that failed, and honestly I think that came down to how I sliced it, not necessarily the machine. Everything before and after that printed perfectly fine. So overall, performance has been decent quality and precision printing throughout.
So it's all interesting stuff. I've actually printed this for my son. He's going to absolutely love it. We are going to touch again on timings, but not to do with tool changes. We're going to look at the existing ecosystem of the Bambu Lab product line. Compared to previous Bambu Lab printers like the X1 Carbon and the P2S, the H2C's efficiency in multi-material jobs is a big leap forward. Those previous models rely on purge systems that flush an entire nozzle between colours, which means there's loads of downtime and filament wastage. Here the H2C only needs a quick prime to relieve nozzle pressure before the next nozzle swap. It's far less waiting around, despite the AMS system taking a little longer. Across all the tests I did on this machine, and even though the total print time was longer than a tool changer, it's significantly more time efficient than traditional purge-based Bambu models. The X1 Carbon running the same Scandic Prism Vase came in at around 79 hours, where the H2C with the same file did it in 30. So while it is slower than something like the Prusa XL or the Snapmaker U1, it's certainly more than twice as fast than the old Bambu purge-based systems. And let's not forget the print quality didn't take a hit, and it's right where you'd expect it to be. So in real terms here, ultimately it comes down to balance. You're not waiting for meters of filament to be purged out like the older purge systems, and while it doesn't quite match a tool changer's speed, you're saving a huge amount in wasted material and reclaiming a lot of that lost time. So now we've seen this machine perform in the real world, let's take a step back, because ultimately it's going to be down to how you want to manage your budget, your time, and your expectations. If you are already into the Bambu Lab ecosystem and enjoy that press print and walk away simplicity, this machine makes sense. It's clean, efficient, and surprisingly refined when it comes to multi-material printing. But it's all about how you value your time and where you put your money. The H2C isn't cheap, and those Vortek Hotends will add to a long-term running cost. But the savings in filament and reduced waste compared to older purge models, well, they're going to pay you back over time. And as far as support and reliability go, Bambu's track record is strong. And that matters, especially if you're investing in a machine this complex. But then there's complexability itself. Tool changes like the Prusa XL or even the Snapmaker U1 can be faster, absolutely, but they're also a different kind of machine. The XL is incredibly capable, but may not also be beginner friendly, while the U1 is still new to the market and we don't know about that long-term durability or even how the company will support it moving forward. The H2C takes the opposite route: automation, consistency, and that familiar just works feel. And that's of course if it does indeed work. To be honest with you, the only real slip up we've had with this machine is one of the tools just wouldn't self-locate. There was a bit of ick inside of the nozzle, which we ended up just wiping off and it ended up being fine. But long-term tests, I've had this for a month, everything seems to be okay so far. And as I said earlier, this review is very much a snapshot of this new. Aside from one failed print, which I'm pretty sure is down to slicing, everything else came out great. Overall, the results were pretty solid. So with very few early issues, I'd still say it's a strong buy. However, my preference would still be tool changing. I like the way that it processes, and I value my own time and time when I'm printing. And when you're managing multiple projects, traveling, filming, and trying to hit deadlines, those faster print times and instant zero-purge swaps really matter. But that's really the interesting part, because I think it shows exactly where this tech could go. And here's the thing, why stop there just with the right-hand side Vortek? Why not add one to the left? Why not have 12 instead of just the 6? The technology is already here, and it clearly works, so why not double it? Imagine 12 Hotend H2Cs, or even a future model that automatically switches between multiple racks. That's the exciting part of innovation. Once you solve one problem, you can start to see all the new ones that you could solve. Now here's a quick one for you. If you're running one of the H series printers, you're going to love this. This is the new BIQU Pandaverse storage solution, a simple but really smart way to give your H2 series printer a proper home. It sits directly underneath your machine and adds a ton of usable space, and the folded corner design keeps everything sturdy and stable. And the big win? It's on wheels, so you can roll out the entire setup, spin it, and get to the back of the printer, manage cables, all without lifting a thing. Super handy for maintenance, swapping plates, or filming B-roll. There's room for tools, spare nozzles, plates, and it keeps your AMS lines tidy without cluttering the desk. And because it's sized specifically for the H2D, the H2S, and of course the H2C, it fits spot on. BIQU will be sending more of these out to me for the printers that I have here, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And the links, of course, will be down in the description. Nice, simple, and it just works. Thanks, BIQU. Well, this one has certainly been a fun review. Thank you very much to Bambu Labs for sending me this machine. Thank you very much for watching. All the links, of course, for these machines will be down in the description below. If you fancy a tool changer, if you fancy the H2C, or even one of the other Bambu lineup, again, the links will be down in the description. I want to know what you think about this machine. Is it what you thought it was going to be? Have I complicated it for you? Either way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Friends, we will see you next time. Bye for now.
You are watching a master at work.